Ladies and gentlemen, there is something I want to tell you today that could change the way you look at yourself forever. Something that doesn't just scratch the surface, but reaches into the core of who you are. You are not a mistake. You're not a coincidence. You are not a random idea floating in the imagination of the universe. You were intentionally designed, crafted with precision, built with purpose. You are worth more than you know. The greatest tragedy on earth is not death. It is life without knowing why you were born. Because when you do not know your worth, you settle. You settle for less. You accept what was never meant for you. You tolerate people, jobs, relationships, and environments that insult the very essence of your being. When you don't know your value, you become a product in the hands of buyers who never intend to invest in your future. Value is not something others assign to you. Value is something you discover within. A diamond in the dirt is still a diamond. Covered in mud, forgotten in a cave, it does not lose its worth. You may have gone through failure, rejection, heartbreak, abandonment, abuse, shame, but none of those things reduce your value. They may cover it, but they cannot remove it. Your worth is intrinsic. It is permanent. It is untouchable. You were born to be known for something, not to merely exist, work, pay bills, and die. No, you were born to bring something into this world that it has never seen before. There's a reason why there is no one else on the planet with your fingerprint. You are a divine idea expressed in human form. But here's the tragedy. Many people go to their grave full of dreams they never pursued, full of potential they never explored, full of gifts they never unwrapped. The cemetery is the richest place on earth. In it lie books never written, songs never sung, businesses never built, inventions never created, ideas never shared. Why? Because too many people died without knowing their worth. They were told they were average, and they believed it. They were told they were useless, and they received it. They were rejected by someone they trusted, and they interpreted that rejection as truth. But your value does not decrease because someone else failed to see it. You are not what they said about you. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are more, so much more. The problem is not that people don't have value. The problem is that they have allowed the world to cover that value in lies. You've heard them. You're not good enough. You're too late. You're too old. You're too young. You're too poor. You're too broken. Lies. All lies. Every product is defined by the mind of the manufacturer. You are a product designed by your creator. And if you want to know your worth, don't ask the customer. Ask the manufacturer. When you buy a phone, you don't determine its features. The creator does. When you read the manual, it tells you what the product can do, not based on your opinion, but based on its built-in capacity. You have capacities you haven't tapped into yet, gifts you've buried beneath fear, talents you've hidden under insecurity, potential you've silenced because of comparison. But let me tell you something today. Comparison is the enemy of destiny. When you compare yourself to others, you either feel inferior or superior. Both are wrong. You weren't made to copy anyone. You were made to complete something. There is something that only you can do. There is something on this earth that is assigned to your fingerprint. When you don't do it, the world is incomplete. It is not arrogance to know your worth. It is wisdom. When you know your worth, you don't beg. You don't chase. You don't plead. You attract. You command. You become. People treat you based on how you treat yourself. If you walk like you're invisible, they will overlook you. If you speak like you're uncertain, they will doubt you. But when you understand your worth, you walk differently. You speak with clarity. You choose with confidence. Because when you know who you are, you stop entertaining what you are not. You are not depression. You're not anxiety. You're not fear. You are not shame. Those are experiences, but they are not your identity. You are greater than what you've gone through. The fact that you're still standing is proof that your purpose is not finished. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are signs of survival. They are evidence that life hit you, but it did not end you. You are still here, and you are still valuable. The eagle does not fear the storm. In fact, it uses the wind of the storm to rise higher. You are not made to run from challenges. You are made to rise through them. The pressure you're under is not to destroy you. It is to reveal you. The pain you feel is not the end, it's the process. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. And purpose is discovered through pain. You don't need to be accepted by everyone to be valuable. You don't need everyone to understand you. Sometimes, people can't see your worth because they are blind to themselves. Do not let the limited vision of others shrink your life. Never apologize for knowing your value. Never apologize for walking away from places that no longer honor you. You're not called to fit in everywhere. Some doors must close so that you can find the one you're meant to open. You must stop measuring your worth by numbers. How many followers? How much money? How many likes? How many people call you? Worth is not in numbers. It's in nature. An original painting is valuable not because of how many people like it, but because of who made it and what it represents. You aren't original. There has never been another you, and there never will be. Do you know how powerful that makes you? When you know your worth, you stop asking for permission to be great. You stop explaining your dreams to people who can't see the vision. You stop waiting for affirmation from people who are still trying to affirm themselves. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You rise. And hear me, when you rise, others will be uncomfortable. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Not everyone will applaud your success. Some people like you better when you didn't know your worth, because then they could control you. But when you awaken to who you truly are, you break out of cages that others built for you. No one can cage a soul that knows its value. No one can imprison a mind that knows its identity. You were made to be free. You were made to walk in truth. You were made to change the world. But it starts with changing the way you see yourself. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You don't need to be richer, taller, smarter. You need to be aware. Aware of the greatness that has been buried in you all along. Your destiny is not ahead of you. It's inside you. The question is, will you unlock it? You were not created to chase people. You were not made to beg for love. You were not designed to live at the mercy of someone else's opinion. You were created with dominion. That means you were built to lead, to govern, to impact, to influence. And if you don't do it, the world loses a piece of its light. So today, I'm challenging you to make a decision. A decision to stop seeing yourself through broken mirrors. A decision to silence the voices that told you you're not enough. A decision to break the cycle of self-doubt, self-hate, and self-sabotage. A decision to rise, to stand, to speak, to become. Because the world is waiting for what you carry. Your family needs it. Your generation needs it. The future needs it. And you need to see it in yourself. You are more than you've been told, more than you believed. And this is important. When you know your worth, you start attracting differently. You attract people who aren't intimidated by your strength. People who don't want to use you. They want to build with you. You begin to attract purpose partners. People who speak to your future, not your fears. People who hold you accountable to your potential. People who celebrate your difference instead of competing with it. And the wrong people, they begin to fall away. Not because you're better, but because you're no longer available for environments that keep you small. See, your environment matters. You cannot grow in a place that suffocates your value. Even the best seed won't flourish in bad soil. You must be intentional about where you plant your life. And while we're on it, stop asking small-minded people for permission to dream big. Stop explaining vision to people who have never seen clearly. Stop justifying your goals to people who have none. If they can't see it, that's okay. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Protect it. Nurture it. Build it. Your value is connected to your vision. You can't live fully if you're always editing your dreams to fit their comfort zone. They may call you too intense, too deep, too ambitious, too different, but they don't know what you carry. They didn't see the nights you cried, the battles you fought, the prayers you whispered, the strength it took just to keep going. If they knew your full story, they would understand your worth. But you don't need them to understand. You just need to keep walking. And as you walk, you must understand that the process will not always be pretty. Knowing your worth doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. There will still be resistance, still be disappointment, still be betrayal. But what changes is your response. You stop reacting like a victim and start responding like a visionary. And while others are waiting for the perfect moment, You begin creating moments. You move forward even when the path is unclear. Why? Because your value is not in what you see, it's in what you carry. You don't need all the answers to start. You just need clarity about who you are. Once that is settled, everything else aligns. Purpose is not a destination, it's a decision. And you make it every day. Every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every time you say no to what doesn't align. Every time you do the work when no one's clapping. That's purpose. That's power. That's value in motion. And let me say this clearly. You will not always feel worthy. That's okay. Feelings are temporary. But what you are is eternal. Your worth is not based on yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's fears. It is based on a decision made about you before you even arrived. And that decision was, you are necessary. So walk like it. Talk like it. Think like it. Dream like it. You don't need everyone to believe in you. But you must believe in yourself. Because the day you do, the world begins to change. You see, one of the greatest weapons used against people is ignorance. Ignorance not just of facts, but of identity. Because if you can convince someone they are nothing, you don't need to chain them. They will limit themselves. They will shrink. They will self-destruct and call it humility. But humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself truthfully, seeing yourself the way your Creator sees you. And your Creator did not make junk. He didn't make mistakes. He didn't look at you and say, oops. No, he said, very good. That's the declaration over your life. Not good. Very good. That means there's excellence wired into your very being. That means greatness is not something you chase. It's something you uncover. And the key to uncovering it is to stop agreeing with lies. Every time you say, I'm nothing, you're lying. Every time you say, I can't do it, you're lying. Every time you say, no one will love me, you're lying. You may feel those things, but feelings are not facts. Feelings are reports. And not every report is accurate. You must stop living based on emotion and start living based on revelation. What have you discovered about yourself? What have you seen about your potential? Not what they said, not what you feared. What have you realized? Because revelation is what fuels transformation. You cannot rise beyond what you have not seen. The eyes of your understanding must open. You have to wake up from the coma of small thinking. You have to snap out of this hypnosis that tells you you're just here to survive. Survival is not your calling. Dominiernish. You were made to create, to manage, to multiply, to solve problems. There are solutions inside you. Solutions to family struggles, business problems, leadership gaps, broken systems. There are answers within you. But if you never know your worth, you'll keep waiting for someone else to fix what you were born to repair. And here's something else. Worth produces standards. When you don't know how valuable you are, you'll say yes to anything. But when you know your worth, your yes has power and your no has authority. You stop going to places that drain you. You stop allowing people to enter your life just because they knock. You start guarding your energy, your time, your peace, because those are the assets of someone who knows they carry treasure. You're not for everyone. You're not meant to be understood by every crowd. Even gold, when it is first discovered, is hidden in rock. People have to dig for it. They have to search. They have to see past the dirt. You've been buried in life, but that doesn't mean you don't have gold. It means you're precious. And I say this with conviction. You will never rise beyond the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as weak, you will live weak. If you see yourself as defeated, you will act defeated. But when you begin to see yourself as chosen, as equipped, as necessary, as valuable, you will walk differently, speak differently, move differently. The greatest enemy to your future is not the devil. It's a poor self-image. Because when you believe you're small, no matter how big the opportunity is, you will disqualify yourself before you try. Some of you have been rejecting open doors because your mind is still locked. The cage is gone, but your thinking is still captive. It's time to upgrade your thoughts. Elevate your perspective. Start speaking to yourself like someone who is becoming. Don't wait for applause. Celebrate yourself. Speak to the treasure in you until you believe it. Call out the greatness until it wakes up. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. You don't need fame. You need focus. The applause will come, but purpose must come first. Too many people are waiting to feel valuable before they act valuable. But action is the proof of belief. Don't wait to feel it, declare it. Act it. Build from it. Make decisions based on it. Because your worth doesn't grow by what you have. It grows by how much of yourself you refuse to bury. There's a generation coming after you. They need your courage. They need your breakthrough. They need to see someone who refused to bow to low expectations. They need to see someone who knew they were valuable even when no one clapped. Your life is not just your own. What you do with your worth will either empower others or leave them in silence. Preparation for what? For the moment you realize who you are. For the day you stop begging and start building. For the hour when you finally stop waiting to be chosen and recognize that you were chosen before you were born. You were appointed, assigned, designed, and empowered. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs more originals. And you, yes, you are one. Stop trying to compete with others. Stop chasing after roles you were never made to play. Stop diminishing your uniqueness just to be accepted by average minds. There is something holy, something powerful, something transformative about a person who knows their worth and walks in it. That kind of person cannot be ignored. They change the temperature of every room they walk into. They speak with conviction. They move with purpose. They are not perfect, but they are focused. They don't need validation because they've found revelation. They don't need to be loud because their life speaks volumes. You can be that person. You were made to be that person. But you must make a decision. Every day, you must choose to silence doubt. Every day, you must choose to cancel the lies. Every day, you must choose to say, I am valuable. I am capable. I am necessary. I am here for a reason. And once you decide, everything begins to align. The right people begin to notice. The right doors begin to open. Not because you were lucky, but because you were ready. Life does not respond to need. It responds to awareness. When you know who you are, life starts to shift. And the amazing thing is, you don't need to become someone else to be powerful. You just need to become yourself. The real you. The you that was hidden behind insecurity. The you that was silenced by rejection. The you that was buried under fear. You must understand that worth is not loud. It doesn't need to scream to be seen. It doesn't chase applause to feel validated. True worth is quiet confidence. It's knowing, not performing. It's presence, not pressure. When you know what you carry, you don't need to advertise it. Your life becomes the announcement. Your discipline becomes the billboard. Your consistency becomes the message. But don't mistake quiet for weak. When someone truly knows their worth, they become immovable. You cannot bribe a person who understands what they're made of. You cannot manipulate someone who has seen the blueprint of their own life. They've tasted purpose, and you cannot tempt someone with imitation once they've tasted authenticity. This is why your discovery of self must become your highest priority. Because the enemy of your soul fears your awakening. He fears a man or woman who walks in full awareness of their value. Because that kind of person is dangerous. That kind of person can't be bought. That kind of person doesn't compromise their assignment for popularity. That kind of person knows their time is sacred and their vision is holy. And once you step into that level of clarity, your entire rhythm changes. You stop waking up to survive, you wake up to advance. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop measuring days by how easy they are and start measuring them by how much progress you made in alignment with who you are. You see, when you don't know your worth, every delay feels like denial. But when you do know your worth, you realize delay is sometimes divine. That timing is not your enemy. It's your protection. You understand that preparation is just as valuable as arrival. Because if you arrive without knowing who you are, you'll lose what you were given. But when you are ready, when your soul has been rooted, when your identity has been forged in truth, you won't just arrive, you'll remain. So many people rush to be seen, not realizing they haven't become yet. They want to be known before they've been refined. But visibility without identity is dangerous. If you are seen before you are sure, you'll let public opinion define what purpose was supposed to reveal. This is why some doors don't open yet. Not because you're not worthy, but because your worth must be solid before the weight of the next season. That's how you protect the anointing on your life. That's how you carry power without pride. That's how you rise without crumbling. You don't skip the process. You embrace it. Because every test is teaching you the truth. You are more than your circumstances, and you are greater than your season. And when you've been through something and survived it, you carry a different kind of strength. It's not the kind you shout about. It's the kind you stand on. That quiet strength that says, I know who I am even when no one claps. I know where I'm going even when the path looks dark. I know what I carry even if others still doubt it. That kind of person doesn't just influence rooms. They shift atmospheres. They bring solutions, not drama. They bring alignment, not confusion. They carry answers, not just opinions. And we need more of those people. Not just motivational energy, but purpose-filled identity. People who aren't trying to be impressive, but impactful. People who don't care about being liked. They care about being effective. And here's something else. When you know your worth, you stop chasing things that were never assigned to you. You stop forcing relationships that cost your peace. You stop staying in jobs that crush your joy. You stop volunteering for circles where your presence is tolerated but your voice is ignored. You stop pouring into people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Because anything that costs you your identity is too expensive. Anything that makes you shrink your voice is too costly. Anything that makes you forget your value is not aligned with your destiny. And when you start walking in that truth, you don't just protect your worth. You multiply it. You begin to grow in wisdom. You attract new strategies. You make sharper decisions. You stop wasting energy on battles that don't matter. You conserve your focus for the things that build legacy, not just moments. You invest in the right people, the right vision, the right assignment. And as you do, your life starts to bear fruit. Not just in money or success, but in impact. Because the measure of a life is not in what it collects, but in what it deposits. What are you leaving behind? What kind of impact will your worth create in others? When people encounter you, do they feel empowered to become more? Or do they feel pressure to be less? When you know your worth, you lift others by example, not by comparison. You become a living testimony that it's possible to rise without competition, to shine without apology, to serve without losing self. And let me remind you, even as you grow, even as you build, even as you evolve, there will still be moments when you doubt. That's normal. It's part of the process. Growth doesn't eliminate fear. It trains you to move forward despite it. It teaches you to speak truth to yourself when your feelings want to lie. It disciplines you to remember your assignment when the noise gets loud. This is why people who walk in purpose must also walk in intentionality. You must remind yourself daily, I am worthy, not because I'm perfect, but because I am purposed. Every scar, every lesson, every closed door, it all served the building of someone who now knows their value. And that person does not live life by accident. They move with direction. They move with fire. They move with vision. When you begin to move with vision, you stop needing external confirmation to take internal steps. You begin to live from a place of alignment, not applause. And something powerful happens. Your life begins to produce evidence. Not opinions, not hype, not noise, evidence. Evidence of growth. Evidence of healing. Evidence of transformation. Evidence that something within you has awakened, and it cannot go back to sleep. You see, once you've seen your value, you can't unsee it. You might wrestle. You might forget it temporarily, but it will haunt you. You'll never again be able to fit comfortably into places that insult your calling. You'll try to blend in, but your spirit will agitate you. You'll try to pretend it doesn't matter, but your purpose will whisper in your ear, you were made for more. You'll try to settle, but your soul will shake. And that is the tension of transformation. You're no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you're becoming. You're in the middle. But even in the middle, your worth is unshaken. Even in the confusion, your value is intact. You may not have it all figured out, but your essence remains unchanged. This is why your environment must evolve with your awareness. As you rise in identity, your atmosphere must reflect that rise. You cannot keep living at ground level with a mountaintop vision. You cannot keep dining with doubt while speaking faith. You cannot keep consulting comfort while chasing greatness. There comes a point where you must sever what stunts your development. Growth demands isolation sometimes, not because you're arrogant, but because you are under construction. There are seasons where the crowd cannot walk with you, not because they are bad, but because they cannot breathe at the altitude you're rising to. And if you don't understand that, you'll feel guilty for growing. You'll sabotage your worth to stay connected to what you've outgrown. But hear this clearly. You owe no apology for becoming. You owe no explanation for your expansion. You don't need permission to rise. Growth is not betrayal. It is obedience. Obedience to the potential planted in you before you even took your first breath. And when you are faithful to that potential, you begin to unlock levels of clarity that redefine how you see everything. You begin to realize that not every opportunity is your assignment. Not every open door leads to destiny. Not every compliment is confirmation. Not every crowd is your community. You begin to discern. You begin to protect what you carry. Because when you truly know your worth, you no longer live by convenience. You live by conviction. And conviction gives birth to focus. Focus silences the noise. It says, I don't have time to explain my purpose to people committed to misunderstanding it. It says, I don't have time to water weeds when I'm called to plant trees. It says, I don't have time to babysit people's comfort when my destiny demands confrontation. That's the maturity that worth brings. Because you're not just valuable, you are responsible. Responsible for what you've been given. Responsible for the gifts you've been trusted with. Responsible for the light you've been carrying in the dark. And to be responsible means to stop waiting for signs and start becoming the sign. It means to stop delaying your calling until you feel ready and start walking it out while you're becoming ready. You were never meant to have all the answers before the journey began. Sometimes the answers are found in the movement, in the risk, in the leap. You'll never know what you're truly capable of until you step beyond what's comfortable. Comfort never reveals capacity. It only preserves it. But discomfort? Discomfort demands growth. Discomfort exposes muscle. Discomfort reveals power. And once you've tasted the fruit of discomfort, you start to lose your appetite for average. You start to lose patience for small talk, shallow living, empty ambition. You start to crave depth, purpose, strategy. You begin to seek out people and places that pull the best out of you. You begin to walk into rooms not asking, do they like me? But declaring, do I belong here? And is this aligned with my assignment? That's what people who know their worth ask. They don't settle. They assess. They discern. They protect. They walk in wisdom, not fear. Because fear thrives in the absence of identity. But when identity is secure, fear loses its grip. Even if the path ahead is unclear, even if the road gets hard, you walk with assurance. You may not see every step, but you trust the one who gave you the vision. You walk as one who knows that worth is not about arrival. It's about awareness. And the more aware you become, the less you allow life to just happen to you. You start happening to life. You start shaping it. You start commanding it. You start influencing it. Not with ego, but with truth. Not with noise, but with clarity. Not with insecurity, but with conviction. Underscore. Underscore. Because clarity of worth births authority. Not the kind of authority that dominates others, but the kind that refuses to be dominated by circumstances. When you know who you are, your environment stops dictating your mindset. The economy may shift, people may change, systems may fail, but your identity remains rooted. You may bend, but you do not break. You may weep, but you do not quit. You may stumble, but you do not surrender. And that kind of resilience is not personality, it is identity. It is the power of a mind that has been renewed. It is the force of a soul that has remembered its origin. You weren't born to blend in with fear. You weren't created to sit in the shadow of insecurity. You are not called to build your life on opinions. You were designed to stand on revelation. And revelation is dangerous. Because once you know, you can never unknow. Once you've seen what's possible, you can't pretend you haven't. Once your eyes have been opened to your value, you can't go back to discounting yourself for the comfort of others. That's why awakening is costly. That's why many avoid it. Because once you become aware, you become accountable. Accountable to truth. Accountable to vision. Accountable to growth. And accountability is uncomfortable, but is also transformational. You stop making excuses and you start making adjustments. You stop blaming your past and you start building from it. You stop waiting for rescue and you begin to lead the charge into your own future. And don't think for a moment that this means the journey will be easy. Knowing your worth doesn't exempt you from warfare. It equips you for it. You begin to face battles differently. You stop fighting from a place of desperation and start warring from a place of inheritance. You stop trying to prove your value and start protecting it. Because now you know there's something in you worth fighting for. And as you grow in this awareness, you'll start to realize how much time you wasted trying to be accepted. How many seasons you stayed too long in places that could not hold your calling. How many years you spent dimming your light so others could feel more secure in the dark. But even that regret begins to fade when you understand that nothing was wasted. Even the delays carried revelation. Even the wrong rooms taught you discernment. Even the pain became the soil for purpose. Because your worth was never lost. It was simply hidden, waiting to be discovered, not in the applause of others, but in the silence of your becoming. And now that you've seen it, now that it's begun to rise, you have a responsibility to honor it, to walk in it, to never again trade it for counterfeit connections, small thinking, or temporary validation. And yes, it may cost you. Some people will walk away. Some will misunderstand you. Some will call your growth pride, your standards ego, your clarity arrogance. But that's only because they have not yet seen themselves. And the truth is, your awakening will disturb those who are still asleep. Your confidence will confront their complacency. Your discipline will expose their excuses. But don't let that stop you. Keep building. Keep becoming. Keep showing up fully. Because your life is not just about you. Your worth is not just for your benefit. It is an assignment, a torch, a map for someone else who is lost in doubt, looking for a way forward. When you walk in your worth, you show others what's possible. When you embody your value, you remind others they have value too. And that is the true weight of purpose. Not fame, not applause, but legacy. Becoming the kind of person whose life creates permission for others to rise. Speaking words that spark courage in those who are silent. Living with such conviction that even your presence breaks chains. This is what it means to know your worth. Not simply as a feeling, not as a motivational slogan, but as a lifestyle, as a spiritual position, as a daily decision to carry yourself like someone who has already been called, already been chosen, already been approved, not by men, but by design. And when you live from design, you stop chasing identity, you start expressing it. You stop searching for meaning, you start embodying it. You stop reacting to life, you begin leading it.